Welcome to Project Red. My patrons voted for a developer's commentary of the demo, so that's what this basically is. I'm just gonna play through the demo and give some commentary. If you don't know what the game is, this is Project Red's essentially a dark fantasy retelling of Red Riding Hood. The game is pretty much entirely made by me with some, obviously some assets and scripts made by other people, but primarily pretty much everything here I made. We're gonna disable NSFW because obviously for YouTube, we don't need tutorials, and I'm gonna kind of just gloss over this whole intro. I am gonna do a second version of this demo, and this version has a very outdated intro. There's a whole gameplay segment here that's missing. I heavily rewrote pretty much everything that was there, so we're just going to skip it. Just for backstory context, our heroine, Red here, was walking through the park, basically, and she bumps into a werewolf who kills her, and a mysterious voice kind of shows up and is like, we can help each other out. And then she wakes up here. So we're in a witch's cabin right now. This was one of the first maps I made and messed around with all the lighting effects and all that. I'm pretty happy with how this all turned out. There's a bunch of pretty much everything you see here you can interact with, and there's some kind of text blurb. I'm not going to go through all of it, but there is definitely some interesting things, I think, that I put in here that give some context to both the story and the witch herself, who we're going to meet when we go out here. And apologies, I'm not going to be reading all the text, or we'll be here for well over an hour, so you can pause or ignore my voice and just read the text on screen. I'll let it linger for a bit at least. But here we have the witch. The witch is your ally, at least if you think you can trust her. There's basically three major characters that Red will be interacting with throughout the story, and you can totally choose who you want to trust, who you want to distrust. They're kind of like your three romance options. This is just chapter 1 of what is supposed to be a 3-chapter series, 3 games, so there's not a huge amount of context, or I suppose there's not a whole lot of impact to what you're choosing in the first game, right? It's not like you're gonna super romance and cut off the other characters depending on your choices. This is just the setup, introduction, letting you meet everyone, and then in game 2 onwards, then you'll start making choices that will really impact your relationships with the 3 characters here. But for now, this is just, meeting everyone. So the witch brought us to life. She seems to have her own history with the werewolf that attacked us, and she'll use us as her own pawn in her own schemes. So there's a lot I could say here, but a lot of it would get spoilery. So I'm gonna try and control myself. But the voices here is an interesting concept where there's basically Red's not the only being in her body. I wanted to give the player themselves kind of some role to play in this story. So as you see here, the witch is addressing you directly, and you are the voices. What that means is there's points in the story where you can effectively choose the outcome instead of Red. I'm going to go back here for a second, though, just because there's a treasure chest before we go on. And there's also the mirror in the witch's house, which is very important. As you see here, you can walk through the mirror. And once you're inside the mirror, this is essentially kind of like a hub world. Notable locations in the game will have their own mirrors, and you can travel between the mirrors to locations you've been to before. There's also the Forgotten here, who is an important character, but we'll get to her later on. for now, this is just gonna make my life a whole lot easier for this playthrough. So, with that active, we're gonna start playing the game properly now. So, as I said, you playing as the voices and not exactly Red. She is her own character, but there will be points like this where you have these tarot card choices, and whatever choice you make will have a consequence down the line, regardless of choice. Now, sometimes the consequence is that nothing special happens. Sometimes you'll get some kind of advantage later on, and sometimes there will be a negative consequence. And it's just, you can just make whatever choice you want, and every playthrough you can make different choices and get completely different outcomes. We're in combat now. The combat in this game is probably pretty stock standard for RPG, but I wanted to make the weapons a little bit more than just stat blocks. There's a lot of games I feel where it's just kind of, one weapon is better than the other, then the next weapon is better than that, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to give the weapons each a unique skill. So if you've played Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was kind of my major inspiration, because I really loved the way they handled the weapons in that game. Each weapon is essentially built to support a specific build of character, and then each weapon has its own unique skill, and if you meet certain requirements, you can master that skill for use with all your other weapons. So you can have all the skills you like with whatever build for whatever character you want. So that's kind of the idea with this. So your starter knife has the slash skill, which is super important. I would say it's one of the best skills in the game, which is why I gave it to probably the worst weapon in the game, just to make you use it at least a bit. There's also, as you see here, we have our musical icon, which means our evocation is ready. And our evoke is basically your super move. So Bloody Rondo is a move that'll hit all enemies on screen, usually for pretty good damage. You can see we leveled up here too. So every time you level up, your health, MP, and stamina will recharge. And on that note, I guess I should talk about the fact that there's MP and stamina. So Red does not start with any magical capabilities, and instead, as you can see, her skills all cost stamina, certain amounts of stamina. And stamina is something that will recharge when you take damage and when you deal damage. There's a lot of systems in place that I call adrenaline, basically. But more or less, using your powerful skills will drain your stamina. And if you run out, you just can't use your abilities. There are items in the game like food and things like that that will restore your stamina. And you can totally abuse this build of the game. There's no timer. If you read the conversation with the witch, essentially she tasks you with traveling to the end of the forest and delivering a basket to a woman named Grandma. But if you fail to do so before sunrise, the spell that resurrected Red will wear off and she'll die. So in the actual full game, and in the second version of the demo that I'll eventually release, there is actually a timer. It's not real time, it's not something that just kind of goes, it's more action-based. So, for example, if you lose a battle that you are allowed to lose, time will pass. If you do certain activities, like resting at a campfire, time will pass. If you reach certain milestones in the story, like defeating a major boss or progressing in some way, time will pass. There's a car going by. But yeah, essentially time will move as you do certain things in the game, and it's definitely, if you spend too much time resting and playing it too safe, you could end up making the game, making that run impossible to win. Because you have to act fast in certain ways. You cannot just be overly safe and resting all the time. I didn't want the game to be too easy. But in this build, there is no timer, so you can do whatever you want. You can abuse all the systems and just come to grips with everything. So here we're going to meet our second romanceable character, who has a very different introduction than the witch. This is the Hunter, and I'm just gonna spoil his name here since it's not mentioned in the demo at all. But his name's Hati. He is he kind of ends up taking the role of a sort of mentor-like character, since he's a monster hunter of some renown compared to Red, who is a very novice at all of this and learning as she goes. They kind of have a bit of a rocky first meeting, but once you clear the section of the demo, you end up getting there's a quest pretty much right after that where you team up with him to battle some bandits. And it's through that quest that the two of them kind of really get to know each other and start to bond at first and all that fun stuff. But for now, he's kind of just an ass. They have a fun dynamic, I would say. In that later section, he'll actually join your party and you'll be able to play as him too, so that'll be fun. But yeah, for now, we have some questions. As Red herself notes, I wonder why a werewolf would kill her instead of making more werewolves. We have a second enemy type here in the Shroom. Ooh, they're pretty tough. I will say the combat balance in this game is very... Luck can play a huge role in it. It's very possible for you to miss an attack and just lose a battle as a result. As you can see here, the enemy attacks deal quite a bit of damage. Yep, there we go, with a miss of a slash. This could very well cause me to die in one hit. But luckily, the Shrooms can waste their turns trying to tear away at Red's armor. And when they do that, it does no damage, luckily. There are consequences for your armor taking damage, though. For one, your battle sprite will change once you take enough damage. We'll see if he manages it. But if your armor drops to 0, your defense will fall by a lot. You'll probably, I wouldn't even call it a glass cannon, because you'll probably just die if your armor goes too low. So that's just another thing you kind of gotta keep track of and keep up. There are sewing kit items in the game that will restore your armor integrity. It's something that will not restore when you rest at campfires, so you'll just have to manage that, spending your money on sewing kits or hopefully finding enough to keep up with that. You can see there's 3 gauges on the left-hand corner. Armor is the bottom gauge, so you see we're at 74 after that battle. The 2 gauges above it don't really matter in the demo. There's Bloodlust, which becomes a major factor once you get into the bandit section, and there's human enemies. But since this build of the game only really has the slime and the shroom enemies, it's pretty irrelevant, so I won't go into it. And the upper gauge is, you can probably guess by the heart that it's more so for the NSFW version of the game. So it too doesn't really play a role in this version. Well, of course, if you play the NSFW version, it does have an impact, but not much in this build of the game. This is pretty outdated from the current build I've been messing around with. But we're at the merchant camp now, and this is kind of the most important location, I would say, of the early part of the game. As you can see, there's a lot of things you can do here. You can do busy work, which just helps you get some money. You can enter all of these tents. There's plenty of treasure you can steal, though I will say, fair warning, I wouldn't recommend stealing all the treasure in the full game. There might be some consequence to that. But you also notice the balloons above characters. Exclamation marks are side quests, and question marks are quests that are pivotal to progressing the main story. So in this build, 2 of these quests, one's a fishing quest, one's a mining quest, but those systems are pretty roughly built, and I do think the fishing quest, one of these quests I don't think is fully implemented, so we're just going to skip 2 of them. This one with the sellsword, though, we can do. It's fully implemented, and it's worth it because you get quite a bit of items and money out of it, so we're going to do this quest for sure. Just some thief stole some items from the camp, and we're going to be hired to go out and get them. So that's kind of the role Red plays here. Since this camp is just merchants, they're not really equipped for battle, and since it's the dead of the night, you can take care of things that they can't. Now, the carpenter here lets us know that the bridge forward, that we need to cross to go forward is broken, and there's no way to cross it, essentially. But Red's gonna essentially get him to help her by collecting all the materials and his tools that he lost to the Slime King, who will be the first boss at the end of this demo. So this is our first major quest to progress, basically. We need to find some logs, and we need to defeat the Slime King and retrieve his tools. Too broke to buy a gun, but that is going to be one of our major goals. But for now, yeah, actually, I would recommend saving often, because like I said, there is some RNG to these battles that can really screw you, and I bet it'll happen later. But for now, we'll meet love interest number 3, the final major character that you can meet in this demo. He doesn't play much of a role here, kind of like Hati. He just really has his one scene, and that's about it. But he's ill, as Red notes, and Red, just being who she is, decides she's gonna help this guy. So his name is Skull. He's also, as mentioned, he's one of your romanceable options. Unlike Hati, he's more of a gentle character. He's a non-combatant. He doesn't have really any point where he joins the party or helps in combat or anything like that, unlike the Witch and Hati, but he's a nice guy. If you're into that, if that's the romance option you're into, he's the one, you know? But he's also got a log here, so we're going to grab that log. And you might remember when we were in that little section where we met Hati, there was also a log there. But since we're kind of going on our way, we should start level grinding, but I forgot to rest at the camp, so our health is dangerously low. Let's hope I don't die here. Alright, cool. Yeah, apologies for the audio here. So anytime you see a campfire, there are 2 options. There's rest and there's cook food. And as mentioned, in the full game, there is a time system. Every time you rest, time will move forward. So you have to pick and choose your moments. Cooking food doesn't really work in the demo. It was a system I was still messing with. So if you do play the demo, which is free, by the way, on itch.io, there will be a link in the description, but I wouldn't recommend really wasting your time on cooking food yet. But in the full game, it too will cost time. Now, food will obviously have very different effects, whether it's raw or cooked. Raw food will not do as much as cooked food, and we are in trouble. I think I'm gonna die. Okay, we managed to run away and avoid that. Since this is the demo, it's totally within our power to just be scummy and use this rest point again to fully heal. Like I said, in the full game, not quite an option. But, you know, we've got it here in the demo, might as well. And might as well save, too. We do have Bloody Rondo charged, but, you know, we're a little weak. I think we need to pick and choose our battles for now. At least until we're at level 5. Once we're at level 5, I think we can handle the boss and the rest of the demo, but for now, we should maybe focus on some smaller enemies. I will say too, this demo only includes the 2 common enemy types. My Patreon supporters have seen I've shown off some of the sprites. There are a lot more enemies, and in the second version of the demo, this forest will be populated with quite a bit more enemies. There's some zombie dogs, there's tentacle creature. There is another type of slime. I'm probably not going to do it because it's more connected to the mining quest that we're not doing here. But there are rock slimes. There's a kind of bat wyvern enemy. Yeah, you can look forward to that in the second version of the demo, which I don't know when I'll release that. It's definitely not ready to be released. There's more work I can put in before we get to that. Oh, as we can see here, we took enough armor damage finally, so we can see Red has multiple battle sprites. I think there's 4 major ones, and there's variants with less or more damage to the armor for clothing. But speaking of that, we're in a good place to show some stuff. She does have a skill that restores her health at the cost of her stamina. So that is always an option, whether you have items to heal or not. 2 shrooms might be a problem. if we get unlucky. I mean, if they just waste their turns, oh hey, look, we mastered Slash, that's pretty good. Yeah, if they waste their turns trying to tear at our armor, they're not a big deal. But if they both attack when they're dealing over 70 damage per hit, it can go bad pretty quick, especially if we miss. So let's hope we don't miss. Oh, that's really unlucky that focused attack did not kill the shroom. But hey, they're still tearing, so not a big deal. There's one attack in. Hopefully Slash kills the one guy. And it does. We should be fine then. Although if he hits us, our health will be pretty low. Yep, and there he goes. As long as we don't miss, we don't miss. Oh, and we leveled up. Great, cool. Every time we level up, health restores, so it can be useful to be risky in times like that. And as you can see, there's a tree here. We can see a treasure chest behind it. There is a magic ring, a flame ring, that can burn the tree down. Or you can slip through these prickly trees. You'll see as we do that, though, it will damage our armor. And our armor is down at 20 now, which is very dangerous. So I would recommend, not doing that. We also got a serrated dagger, though, so up to you if you think that's worth it or not. Red dual wields, so you don't have to choose between the knife and the serrated dagger. You can equip both. And there are guns in the game, and that's kind of where the combat really becomes a lot more choice-based, because like we said, each weapon has its own skill attached to it that can be mastered. But certain skills will require Red to use a dagger, and certain skills will require her to have a gun. And you can definitely forego those skills and play how you like. You can have a dagger and a gun, you can have 2 daggers, you can have 2 guns, and there's a lot of choices, and there's a couple weapons of each variety within this demo alone. Some harder to get than others. We'll see if I go for any of the forgotten weapons. But for now, this appears to be the location that the sellsword at the camp sent us to, so we have our drunk thief here, and we do have some choices here yet again. I will say there is a choice here that lets you skip this battle entirely. I won't spoil which choice that is, though. We'll just go with the kind of default answer and do our boss battle here. He's kind of like a mini boss. I wouldn't say he's anything too strong since he's a drunk. Oh yeah, our armor is very damaged. I should have definitely healed, but whatever. Eye Gouge is a pretty good skill because it'll blind the enemy. It doesn't deal much damage, but it can be useful for, a single target like this. We also have Assassinate, thanks to our serrated dagger, which does pretty massive damage. It is a high, 50 stamina is a lot to spend, but again, when it's a single target like this, there's almost no reason not to. Of course, you could still miss, which would be pretty bad. As you see there, once we have 2 weapons equipped, our standard attack hits twice now, which is very useful. And here we have another choice segment. I think we'll knock him out. So if you knock him out, you can take him back to the camp and get a bit of extra money, which, since I really want to get that revolver, we'll take all the money we can get. So you see, we'll interact with him, and we'll take him back to the camp. This will fast travel you straight there, so you don't have to worry about running back and then running back. Although, to complete the quest, we will have to go find the stolen goods. We still haven't done that yet. So we'll just make our way back. If I was smart, I would restore my armor, but I really should have restored my armor. Oh, and we didn't rest at the campfire, so our stamina is still really low. That is not great. Alright, we'll just run by. No need to risk it. Yeah, so the stolen goods in here, maybe it's obvious. There's that little hole in the wall at the top here. Now, there's a lot of things that can do here, but I'll show you something cool. If you use the slime mucus, which appears to be a completely useless item, it will actually make Red's body slippery. And you can use that in a situation like this to just slide into this hole, and avoid taking armor damage or getting stuck or anything like that. So that's a little trick for you if you play the demo. And here we get the mysterious orb, which is the item that was stolen. Odd little thing. There's a crimson cloak in here, which is a completely different cloak for Red's armor. We'll swap that out with optimization. The crimson cloak is kind of a high risk, high reward. It decreases your defense compared to the starter cloak, but it does boost your attack, so it's kind of more of a glass cannon build. I think it'll be pretty good for right now, since I kind of just need to level up, and as long as I pick and choose my targets well, we should be able to one-shot a lot of enemies and build experience pretty quickly now. So with our armor restored, we'll pop a save just in case since our stamina is low. And let's see how much damage we do now with this setup. And remember, since we're dual wielding, we do hit twice per normal attack. And yep, we're strong enough to just kill a shroom in one shot, which is pretty good. I'm sure I'll get cocky and end up dying, but you know, as long as I'm careful with saving, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. I will say, there's also, I haven't started the medicine quest proper yet. We need to go back to the witch and talk to her, but she'll require us to collect items dropped from these common enemies, slime mucus and the botanical remains, so we do need to make sure we kill at least enough of these guys to have, I think it's 10 of each that you need, maybe 10 and 5, I don't quite remember, but you do need at least some amount, so we can't just run through everything. We are level 4 though, but like I said, I'd like to be level 5 before we get to the boss here, so we'll pick on some more enemies. Hopefully not do anything too stupid. Oh, and yep, so both of your attacks do have a chance to miss, which is, you know, you can get very unlucky, you can get very lucky. There is also variance to all of your attack damage, just because you normally do, let's say, 70 damage, doesn't mean every hit will do 70 damage. Should probably save since our stamina is low again. Even though our normal attack does enough damage, there's definitely... we could easily get screwed over. Any battle like this, I would definitely recommend targeting a shroom, because they deal way more damage than the slimes, and they tear out your armor, they're just nasty. So, hey, I don't think we've gotten a counterattack yet. Red does have, by default, one of her abilities as a % chance to automatically counterattack anytime an enemy tries to damage her, which can be pretty useful, but of course it's out of your control whenever it happens. It'll just, maybe one day it'll save you, maybe one day you'll wish it happens and you'll just die, unfortunately, but you know. Let's see, yep, we've got enough money for that revolver, but not enough to buy any other items. But with the revolver, we now have more of the build you would expect. And since we've mastered our skill from the knife, there's no reason not to have it. As you can see there, I was showing the red cloak does have better defense, but worse attack than the crimson one. So we're going to go with this build now, which does have some different stats, maybe not as good, but safer, I would say. Plus the revolver has a very nifty skill in stun shot, which can paralyze all our foes. I realized I forgot to go do the medicine quest, so let's go through there. We have our 2 mirrors now, so we'll go back to the witch. And we'll get started on this medicine quest. Of course, our witch is chastising us for trusting people. But what the hell? She saved us, right? So she seems like the type to also want to help. Yeah, so it looks like we only need 10 mucus, 5 botanical remains, and 1 hidden item that we'll have to go get. So we're already good to go. Yeah, I don't think there's any point to going through those maps. We can just go back to the camp. It's closer to the place we need to go anyways. Now, I guess I'll talk about the Forgotten for a bit since we've used this place a bit. She is kind of an enigma. If you talk to the witch about her, she'll tell you that there is no one in that world by default. The only things that appear there are the things you bring with you, which is kind of your hint that it also acts as a memory world. There's a path to the left there that if you go down it, you can review past CGs. It's not implemented fully into the demo or at all. I don't quite recall in this build. It might not be there at all, basically, but that's what that world's there for. But the Forgotten herself kind of acts as a bridge to Red and her own memories, which she woke up without. After the werewolf attack, she pretty much remembers nothing from her life prior. Oof, that was risky. So there are items hidden throughout the world in kind of these areas with stronger enemies. And if you venture in there and get those items, you can bring them back to the Forgotten, who will restore those relics to their most powerful state. They give you some pretty powerful items and armor. I think in this demo there's a revolver and a cloak. You're wrong. Don't quite remember. It's, like I said, it's been a while since I played this exact build of the game, and things have, even the maps we're running through aren't exactly the same anymore. There are more things, more changes. This could end bad. Yep, alright, there we go. And there's our first death. Alright, got a little too cocky there with our build. I did not save super close to that, did I? Nope. Okay, that's not great. Yeah, I really should have saved after starting that medicine quest, but well, we have to run back and do that again. I'll have to be more diligent from here on out. Maybe not get so distracted. I don't remember what I was saying, but whatever. Anyways, we need to go get this flower stimulant. Complete that medicine, and then we're basically ready for the final little push. The final boss, and then there is... The demo doesn't end when you defeat the Slime King. There is one more segment that's kind of like a little survival battle where you have to deal with 3 waves in a row as the Carpenter restores the bridge for you. But, yeah, let's try not to die against these shrooms. We do have that stun shot, which it targets all enemies, but only stunned 1, which is a little unfortunate, but, you know, it's better than not stunning any enemy. Yeah, we can at least kill 1. Oh, damn, this is... See, this is exactly what I mean about sometimes the luck just is not with us. Oh boy. I think we gotta go back and rest. Yeah, potions work just as well. We do have Bloody Rondo now, so I can presumably one-shot all of these enemies and get all that experience. As long as I don't miss. Fingers crossed. Oh, we missed one of them, but yeah, one's fine. He can't kill us. All right, and he got the bad RNG. Look at that. Everything's coming up. There we go. And we're pretty close to level 5. A couple more battles should get us there, but wow, do I want to risk it fighting these shrooms? Let's see. We did just save, so I don't think it... If we die, it's not a big deal. We'll try not to, though. Yeah, honestly, I should probably move these triple shrooms to later in the game after this first forest zone, because they can be quite a lot. Let's see, I can try spamming a stun shot to stun the other 2, but hey, 2 of them are stunned. Our health is too low to survive an attack, though. Yep, okay. You know, I think we'll just avoid these guys for now. They're a little much. Of course, he's blocking our path, so I have to lure him down. Run by, and there's another one up here, of course. He's pretty easy. You know, slimes, we can fight slimes. Slimes are good. slimes, no big deal. Especially since we hit twice now. So close to level 5. So down this path to the right here is where our flower stimulant lies. We'll pick that up and take it back to the witch. You do have some choices here for how you grab it. I don't think it matters in the safe for work version, but you might poison yourself in the NSFW version, which would end poorly for you, depending on your choice. But we don't gotta worry about that, and of course that slime got us into a battle, but no big deal. Yeah, Slash isn't powerful enough to kill them yet. One day. For now, might as well just keep going. Hopefully we can avoid all these shrooms on the way down. Hey, there's our level up. That's what we wanted, level 5. So we could just go for the Slime King, but I'll show you guys the resolution of this medicine quest, at least as far as the demo goes first, I think. Getting tight in the corner there. Yeah, it's probably faster to get to the witch just with the fast travel mirror rather than walking down 3 pathways. So we'll just do that, and we can rest here too. Like I said, you can probably already see how having a timer is going to make resting a very different experience in the actual proper game. Yeah, I realized I never actually completed this quest, so let's do that fast. That should give us enough money to also buy equipment, maybe? 400? No, I think we needed 500. You don't sell anything. And yep, 500. Just 100 shy. We can still do busy work at the camp for some money. There is a limit to it, I will say. Yeah, how many? Every time you do it, you make less money. And in the full game, of course, doing busy work would also cost you time. So it's a trade, right? You can spend time to get money, basically. It's how it would work. In the demo, it doesn't. You can just spam it, get all the money. There's no real downside in this build. It doesn't matter. But we'll do that when we head back. Now we got the medicine. And we can go cure Skull now. I think if there's anything important worth discussing. I guess I'll address that. Though there is a safe for work and an NSFW mode, the game is very much an adult-oriented game. It still covers mature topics. There's still sexual content, all that stuff. As you can see here, Skull is missing, unfortunately. Red is not happy about going through all that work. But, yeah. Since I already clarified that he's one of the love interests, of course we'll find him later on. What condition he's in is another story, but there can be some fun stuff there. All that's left is really that last log is with the Slime King, so we can go do that. There are more areas though, like I said, there's those kind of off the path ways that the forgotten stuff is in. There's a treasure chest here that I didn't pick up too. Free sewing kit. Yeah, if you go down this is one of those offshoot paths. The enemies here are stronger than your common enemy. I don't know if I wanna... Do I wanna do this? You know, it probably would be cool to show some of the unique imagery and the powerful weapons you get. I think I will. I think I will go back. Really missed. But, you know, the enemies are tougher, but we can always run through them and save scum. It's, you know, I'm not above it. I made the game. I don't really care. I've played this too many times. I don't need to go through it all and kill every enemy every single time. So let's try, you know. Actually, we'll save. I'll show you that the enemies are stronger first, and then we'll run through. We made it here, so. Screw it. Okay, so this is the Forgotten Gun. Which for right now, it's just a rusty revolver. You can't do anything with it. You cannot fire it. It's not a weapon. It's just a key item. So we got some shroom, or some slimes and a shroom. We'll see. Stun shot. That is not the enemy I wanted to stun, but at least the shroom is busy tearing away at our armor. Yeah, alright, as you can see here, the slime, even the slime has quite an increase with the dual attack skill, letting it hit twice instead of once. But we're still strong enough to kill that shroom in one, well, maybe not quite in one go since he got hit by the stun shot, but it's not terrible. Of course we missed. Those dual attacks stack up a lot more than the regular slimes do. You can see if that shroom was alive, we would have been in major trouble. I think the shrooms here also have some poison abilities, which just make your life that much worse. It's definitely, this is either you're supposed to run through here or you should be at a higher level. And oh boy, we got caught by that shroom. That is not good. I should really just try and run away. Thankfully, if we didn't get away there, that would have been game over for sure. So let's try and avoid the rest of these. No point getting caught here for nothing. And yeah, we'll just take this path. We could go back to the camp for the fast travel, but you know, does it really save you time? I couldn't tell you. I haven't timed it out. I know these paths, these enemies aren't really worth fighting beyond your first time through. They're very much set up for your level 1, level 2 red. Beyond that, you know, a slime or two is pretty worthless for experience or anything. But we have our item now. So we'll hand it over to the Forgotten Maiden. She'll restore its memory. Now, if you've played Near Reincarnation, you might recognize my inspiration for this. It's definitely very inspired. When the imagery kicks in, you'll see. But essentially, when you bring these items to the Forgotten, you'll unlock a memory. And Red is unclear if these are her own memories or if these are the memories of whoever this item belonged to. She really doesn't know, but as you'll see, there's definitely a girl who resembles herself in the memory. It's just unclear to her if this is her memory or her friend's memory. Who knows? You can, you know, think about it, figure it out for yourself, maybe come to your own conclusion. But since she lacks any memory of herself, she can't say for sure. And like I said, there's more items in the game like this with memories and stuff like that. I'm just gonna do this one. If you want to see the second one in the game, you'll have to play the demo yourself or wait for the second demo. Either way. But you can see the Forgotten Revolver, pretty good. It lowers her agility, but it has some very good attack damage. And it has range shot is a very good skill. It costs 100 stamina for a reason. It hits every enemy twice. It's pretty powerful. It doesn't stun, which, you know, stun shot can really save your life with those stuns. We're also, yeah, let's do this job here. And then we'll buy an item to further boost our stats before we confront the boss. I think the Bloody Stone boosts our attack. Yep, attack +4. It's not a huge amount, but, you know, every point counts, right? Yeah, there's our optimization. I do think I'll we'll do the red cloak, just because we could use the defense. I think we have enough things that are boosting our attack anyways. We could use a little safety net for the boss fight. And we're definitely not anywhere close to level 6, so no point grinding away. We'll just head straight for the boss. And I do think with level 5, with this setup, we should be able to do it. If you come up here early, there is a fun little train of slimes that blocks your path. We're here ready on time for the boss, so let's head right on in. And there's that ugly guy. Huge slime mess. I really wanted him to be gross, so I hope that worked out. But let's see. We do have 100 stamina, so might as well do that range shot. Let's see how much damage we do. Ooh, nice. Oh, that almost halved his health. That was definitely worth the 100 stamina. Of course, he hits pretty hard himself, so we have to be careful. Oh, and slime is not good. It lowers our agility, which is going to make our turns come slower. Do we heal, or do we just go for the attack? Oh, he's getting attack in first. Uh-oh. Wow, that was close. If he got a crit with that whip, or even hit one more time, that would have been the end of us. But wow, that was not bad. Look at all that experience. That's so sad, just 5 points away. But with that, we can grab the carpenter's tools, and we're all set to fix up that bridge and get to the end of the game. And look at that, we have Bloody Rondo ready and waiting for us, so we can use that at the bridge and take care of maybe an entire wave for free, which is not bad at all. I will say, you see the bubbling water. If we did the fishing quest, we could fish at those spots, but like I said, since cooking's not really finalized in this build, there's no real purpose to it. The raw fish, I don't think they even have a description in this build, so I couldn't tell you what they do. They're supposed to, I think they give you some stamina increased, or maybe some mediocre health. I don't quite remember. There are much better items if you cook them, but we're just not gonna bother with it. So let's head straight for the bridge. And this is the final challenge of the demo. There's more things you can do. There's a whole path to the right here. I'll probably show you afterwards, just that it exists. But I think we'll save Bloody Rondo. I don't think use range shot. Yeah, we'll go with a slash, hit everyone. Of course we missed. If we didn't miss, that could have been an easy 2-hit. Wow, they do more damage than I expected. It's 4 of them. But if this hits everyone, hopefully, there we go. We'll probably take a little bit more damage. Unless he's too slow. Good. Let's just heal. Oh, I forgot. We're gonna level up after this. That was a waste of a potion. Oh well. It's worth keeping track of your experience, because you do fully heal whenever you level up. If you can save the item by just risking an attack, it's probably worth it. Here we go, on to wave 2. There is no time for healing or saving, I will say, but for this wave, I think Bloody Rondo is a good idea. Hopefully we don't miss. There we go. Wave completely dodged. Which, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he gives us a potion for free to restore our health. Not that we needed it, we were full health. We could have saved Bloody Rondo for these 3, but, I think we'll be fine as long as one of them tears our armor. Well, okay, none of them teared our armor, but we can tank one more hit. And he might tear our armor. He might cooperate. Ooh, we can just get our attack in. Oh, and we were, this is maybe overkill, but wow, it missed one of its hits too, but luckily one hit is enough. And we've got the bridge restored, finally at last. So progressing forward does end the demo. Like I said, I'll show you a bit of the path on the right. Oh, that's an interesting. There's a mechanic at play here. You can tell people where you're going if you're going to Grandma or not. If you're familiar with the fairy tale, maybe informing people where you're going might lead to some consequences. Of course, doesn't matter in the demo, so you can say whatever you want, but in the full game, you might find a werewolf instead of your grandma, but you can see there's another path here, there's another cloak there. These are the rock slimes I mentioned before. There's a whole cave in this area. There's a mining quest kind of requires you to come here and mine for ore, but we're not going to do that. You can save here before you cross this threshold, and you can do, and you can play around in the demo as much as you want. Explore everything you have to explore, but we'll just hop into the ending here, which, of course, we get an encounter with the wolf. This was the first time I drew him digitally. I kind of hate this art. I'll probably redraw it for the final game because I did some much better wolf art later on, but for now, that is where our demo leaves off. I've been debating for the second demo. There's a lot of content that's going to be added, but the one thing I'm unsure of is, should the demo progress beyond that point, or should it end there? Again, I'm kind of torn. There's so much that I've built beyond that segment that it kind of feels like a waste not to show some of it off, but at the same time, how much of the game is too much to give away in a free demo, If you liked what you saw here, all the links to my social media accounts is going to be down in the description. My Twitter, my DeviantArt, I do post a lot of whips, a lot of artwork. If you'd like to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, I do have a Patreon. I post pretty much everything there, from sprites to all the CG images to maps in progress. There's all my projects are there that you can see if you're interested. It's Patreon. I'm not going to beg anyone to support me. But that's it. That's the game, more or less. At least this is the earliest build of it. Well, this is basically the build to show that there is a game that is playable, to show off a bit of the story, a bit of the characters, what's going on. The full game's going to have a lot more, like I said. For my first game ever, I'm pretty happy with how this is all coming along. It does bother me that I've just realized that this title screen image of Red is missing her little sleeve parts on her upper arm. I don't know how I left those out. It really bothers me now. Damn it, I might have to go and rework this image. Oh well, man, how do I stare at this for so long and never notice it until right now, just to embarrass myself in this video? Oh well. There's plenty of work cut out for me to finish this game. I do have a date in mind for the final release, but I don't want to say it and then miss it and then, jinx myself, so I'll keep that to myself. But I will say, this year, for sure, I think the game in full will be out. I haven't quite decided. I'll release it through Itch.io, but I haven't quite decided what I want to do in terms of pricing. I don't really know. We'll work that out when we get there. Once I have the full game and I can gauge how long it takes to complete, I think then I can kind of settle on, how much I should charge. But for now, that'll be that. If you haven't seen it, there's also a trailer for my comic Jackpot in my last video. I'll throw a title card on it here. Check that out. Hope you enjoyed all this, and I'll see all you guys later.